Somebody like Akademiks, as big as his mouth is, you're going to say something about that, especially his build. He already built like a baby mom.
Oh, hey, Chatterboxx.
Oh my goodness, y'all, buckle up because this beef right here between DJ Akademiks and Mona, aka Don't Call Me White Girl, it's getting messy, it's gotten loud, and it doesn't look like it is headed anywhere peaceful in this fourth quarter, okay? We are going to get into what Mona said, what Ak said. Now, if you remember this video from way back when that has resurfaced, Mona has felt this way about Ak for a very long time. For context, this clip is from 2 years ago when Mona sat down with Sharp on No Jumper and had these thoughts.
We let real dweebs that wouldn't even jump out the car to cop a...
Now, she starts out speaking in general, but then she starts talking about how they would pay $30 for a can of beer because they don't know any better.
Once you survive the street and you don't rat, you're not dead. I ain't got that up limp or they ain't put me in no chair. I'm a gorilla. You feel me saying? I'm better than you because I survived that shit, period. And the thing about street people is we have knowledge that you can't just go get a degree in. You can have a degree in whatever you want. You can't learn this shit I know. And I damn near can't even teach it. You understand what I'm saying? That look down, that whole like, they're thugs, they have criminal records. That's why you can't be in this culture reporting on it. That's why Akademiks shouldn't have been the person reporting on all the Chicago shit. Because he ain't from 63rd. Like, he don't know shit about shit, but we let these people come in the culture and talk shit. Look at the people we talked about, Gil and Wallow. Gil locked up, doors kicked in over some weed. Him and his went to jail. And she was a square and open her mouth ain't tell. This lady's a makeup artist. You understand what I'm saying? Wallow do a dub for robbery. Like, these is talking street shit, teaching street lessons, because they walked on them streets. We let people that's really like in the culture that don't have Vlad, Akademiks, Trap Lord. I don't understand how they're allowed to do that shit. I don't get it. Shit, lightweight Adam. Like, I don't get how the white boys can just come in and do that. I do know why. Because this is a white man's world. A white man can do what the fuck he want. A white man right now can come out as a drill rapper, put goals in his mouth. It might go up. You know what?
If you're going to push to...
Now, just to give a little pushback on that thought, could the same thing be said of journalists who report on things that are going on in different cities and states? When the topic comes up on the pod about Akademiks and Mano going back and forth, Mona becomes very vocal and inserts her opinion. She made it very clear that she's never respected what Akademiks does and his early coverage of Chicago. Now, I do understand her point that if you're not cut from a certain cloth, you shouldn't be talking about it or cosplaying. And her opinion is, if you're not from the streets, you shouldn't be talking about the streets.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
Oh, you won't fuck with that.
I just don't.
Did you not gather that from the last
Listen,
2 minutes?
do y'all really want to know? Do y'all really want to know for real? When I found out the history of him, like how he started, I was just like, what the fuck? People let that fly? Like they're reporting on Chicago and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of people that are like not in the streets at all, doing all street content. I just don't get that. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like you have to be at least adjacent to it to be able to report on it. You know what I mean? In my personal opinion. I don't want to hear shit from a square that wouldn't even walk through these blocks they discuss every day. I don't.
It looks like Joe is going to need to have another talk with Mona. At first, he couldn't get her to put her mouth to the mic, and now she will not let up off the gas. She was going in talking about he got a mom bod shape and all kinds of stuff. Go check out the Patreon episode. It's the one titled Cap City, and you could hear her whole rant on Ak. When I tell you Mona needs to learn to play the game better, you can't just be going up there on the pod firing shots at anybody and everybody, because it definitely seems like Mona has an opinion about every single person they bring up. If you watch the Patreons, you remember she had something to say about Ak. She had something to say about Draymond Green. I can go on and on, but right now in this video, we are focused on what's going on with her and Ak. And y'all know Ak don't give up, okay? Joe is going to need to go get one of those easy buttons and be hitting that bad boy like, Mona, be easy, because he has a lot of relationships that he has built with people, and Mona just be going off with her opinion. You can see the guys looking around at each other, making faces, and Mona does not read the room. Not to mention, the industry is built on relationships, and that could easily cause a lot of friction for Joe, as well as the other guys that have relationships with plethora of people. We already saw how this played out when Mel started doing it, and it caused some phones to start ringing, and the fellas came back and talked about it on the pod. Ak responds and says that Mona's been trying to get his attention for a while. And baby, now that she has got his attention, we all know that Ak does not let up, like I told y'all before. Ak responds to Mona, calling her an uneducated scammer, and says she's been trying to get his attention for a while. Listen
you get
to
the
what
dusty
he said.
over Joe Budden Podcast. I don't even know who she is. She can't stop talking about me. They keep talking about the war in Chirac, which, by the way, completely incorrect. The war in Chirac ain't won't pop me off, but, you know, the uneducated scammers like that will say that. And by the way, Shorty, please don't hop in a beef. If you ever want to squabble, let me... Oh, and people been saying you've been talking shit. But here's the thing, you're not relevant enough. You're filling out the Melyssa Ford slot, Shorty. I know, and by the way, I went over to their Reddit to see the vibe. They want me to check you since Ice and Ish won't check you. You taking over the show, talking over people. We don't want to hear that that's a white chick, come from Philly, nothing attractive, just saying a bunch of dumb shit, limited knowledge and limited vocabulary. We don't want her taking over the podcast, okay? Joe's too scared to kind of say something because you giving that masculine energy. So they're hoping, you come in and simmer her down that the cast could be a little bit more calibrated.
Okay, that was a lot. I don't agree with calling her out her name, calling her all those names. That escalated really fast. But one thing we do know about the internet, Ak is about to pull every receipt, and Mona, in trying to keep it real, has given the audience and Ak enough ammunition to come after her. Now, one, we already know the situation with Tony the Closer, who said allegedly she was out there scamming people. The lady showed up to her comedy show and was talking about that Mona allegedly scammed her out of $3,000 and she was evicted. Her and her daughter were evicted from their house or their apartment. It has been a lot of stuff on the internet that can fuel this fire. And she just gave Ak that opening. And now, Mona, he knows exactly who you are, and best believe he is going to start digging. I wouldn't doubt for a second that he is going to give those people a platform that have been making accusations, true or false, right? We don't know. But now they have somebody to go to kick Mona's back in. Some people do follow that rule. An enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he has her grandma call in. You thought it stopped right there? It sure didn't. Because Mona got on her phone and shared these thoughts.
Look.
Y'all waiting on me to respond to that big, thick stud academics. Y'all got me f***ed up. Well, I wish I would. Look how you called me a scammer. You're a rat. Look how you called me a scammer. You ratting in your comeback. Your comeback is radish.
So what they keep referring to, and I gave you context on, it was a video call where Mona was talking about what happened and owning her part in this situation. So I'm not sure how Ak can be considered a rat when it already made it to the internet and Mona already said what the situation was and ended it with her saying, fine, I guess I'm a scammer. But one thing I noticed about both of them is they are both giving each other this energy that Ak wasn't giving Mano and she wasn't giving Tony. It's very interesting.
You fat, rat, stinking bitch. You go to events, you can't even be the scene. You got to be in the background. You come to the events when you come to the events through the back. The back, with everybody that's sitting in the back, because you can't sit in the front, because you scary, because you. What I look like going back and forth with a bitch. Say it to my face. Do that. Say it to my face. You big, round, soft, thick, big thigh having, big hip having, fat bitch. You sit up in that motherfucking mansion, drunk as shit, spitting and hollering on that stream. You think you somebody because a bunch of white boys gas you, a bunch of that don't get no pussy gas you. Fuck you. Fuck you and the that follow you. Fuck you.
Whew, that was a lot, Chatterboxx fam. So I'm curious on your thoughts. Did Mona go too far, or did Akademiks cross the line first? How do you think this will play out? Drop those thoughts and let's talk about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and go check out my Patreon.